Okay. Haha. Right, let me share my screen with you. So, I don't know how you guys are feeling about the fact that you've just been told your exams have been cancelled and whatnot. Maybe some of you are feeling quite relieved. Maybe some of you are like, oh, all that work you was putting in. It is just a massive pain. I really feel sorry for some of you about where this is all going. With regards to my subject, believe it or not, what I'm hearing at the moment is that our exam is still on. I'm yet to hear otherwise. I'm sure some of you have heard, or maybe even some of you now are doing your other BTEC exams. The BTEC exams are actually still on, especially the ones that were booked in for January. My query is that our brief, it actually came out today, not that I've seen it. We were going to go through the brief in February. Your first exams, 1 and 2, are booked in for mid-March, and your third exam was booked in for May. I haven't heard anything yet. I'm doing a little bit of tracing. I'm pestering as many Pearson people as I possibly can. Miss Crawley didn't know much herself yesterday. She's not really been told much herself because she's got an exam for BTEC in February as well. So it's just a massive pain in the bum. So for now, I've got to assume that the exam is still on, which is really, I know it's really annoying. Ava and who's the other one? Sorry, hang on a minute. Who did I just let in? Morgan. Hi, Ava and Morgan. Just saying, I'm assuming for the moment that the exam is still on. And until we hear otherwise, we've got to presume that we've got to try and get our coursework done, component 2, like we've got to try and get it done at some point in February, and then be able to crack on with the exam. Obviously, I mean, I was discussing this with Miss Crawley yesterday, and my mind is sort of whirring round and round, like, but what if we don't go back to school in February? Or what if some of you are waiting to do some of your practical stuff for when we get back to school, and then we're sort of eating into our brief time? It's just like a massive hoo-ha. So what I'm going to go through with you guys now is just sort of maybe where you could be going with component 2, ready to get yourselves ready for the exam if that does happen. Things are very much up in the air at the moment. So let me present it. But obviously the first slide is what it is. We're going to assume the exam is still on, and we do still need, regardless of whether the exam is still on or not, our coursework will definitely need to be completed. We're lucky that we are a coursework subject, so when I submit my grades, the BTEC people, the examiners, whoever's moderating our work, will actually have your coursework to just double check that the grades are really what they should be. So I think that's a good thing, but it still means that we've got to get, particularly because component 1, sorry, I've got my dog in my living room with me as well, because component 1 wasn't necessarily fully complete, and I submitted some centre assessed grades for that, I think it would make more sense for component 2 to be properly done. So what do you need to do to finish learner name A and B of component 2? So learner name A was lots of prep work. Learner name B was again some kind of production prep work and the actual final product itself. Learner name C is the evaluation. I'm going to park that for now and maybe do a session on that next week instead. So before we start, no feedback on the exam as yet. We're not expecting it anytime soon. We must carry on and assume that component 2 needs completing ASAP and that the exam starts in February with the brief. The brief actually came out today, but until I get into school and get a copy of it, like a physical copy of it, I haven't seen it myself. So stuff that's really outstanding is there's quite a lot of people with storyboards and planning. So if you go onto your show my homework, and you can see bits of homeworks that I've set that maybe for some of you is outstanding. These are the main ones. Storyboards and planning are the first 2, set quite a while ago. Storyboards ideally are sketched. Any kind of draft work for a magazine or an album cover ideally is sketched. And that's something that you could easily do at home, whether you've got a template off of me or you've got some paper at home and you just sketch out some ideas. So hopefully you've got them if you started them at school, but don't worry if you don't have them on you. If I've got them in my folder ready to scan, perfect, let me know and I'll get it, I'll just tick that off. And it doesn't have to be in the template. Some boxes on a piece of paper will do. It just shows ideas. You could even bullet point some ideas if you want, but the planning and the storyboards is just sort of showing the examiner where the idea started from. So if you're not too keen on your drawing at this point, I don't want 30 boxes of stick men, but maybe have like some bullet points of this is kind of like the idea for my video, or this is bullet points. Will that work for an album cover or magazine? Yeah, I don't see why not. Like, think about what you want the vision of your album cover or your magazine to be, and just bullet point like, I want the font, I'm thinking of having the font in Impact or something similar. I'm thinking of having a model who's posing like this, or this. Like, just generate some ideas. That can be typed up and emailed to me. It can be written out on a bit of paper and scanned in, or take a photo of it and again email it to me. So the storyboards and planning doesn't need to be too taxing, but that is an outstanding piece of work for a lot of you. So I think some of you might need to just send me a message as to where you're at with that. Another one that's really, really outstanding is a band logo. So not many of you have completed this. Ideally, you have something sketched. This was one where I had a template again. You don't have to use the template that I gave you. You can just, again, do it on a bit of paper and annotate what the ideas around the logo that you've created. If you did that and I've got it at school, let me know. If you've got it and you've got it at home, maybe send a picture of it. If you never really finished it, which I think is the case for some of you, just do something at home. Sketch on a bit of paper, generate some ideas around it, annotate like, oh, I think it'll be in this colour, or I've used the heart symbol because blah, 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 blah. Send it over. What you could do as well, either or, is put some of those logos on Photopea. I think that shows real skill. So if you're aiming for at least a merit, but definitely a distinction, it's going to show how you had your initial idea. And you say again? Hello? Does someone want to talk to me? No, okay, I'll carry on. So if you're looking at trying to show some kind of like super duper skill off, then attempting to do something on Photopea would actually be a really good idea. So if it appears in the final product as well, so maybe if it's a logo that appears on the bottom of your music video, or it's a logo that appears on the album cover, or you have it somewhere in the magazine front cover, that will just sort of show like a progression of ideas, and BTEC examiners really like that. Come on. No, it's going to freeze on me. Oh, have I gone too far? Yeah, right. Location recce. This is the one that some of you are emailing about now, as in like, what's a location recce? These three things, the location recce, the risk assessment and production schedule, are all part of Learner Name B. There wasn't as much for Learner Name B as there was for Learner Name A, but they should ideally be finished by now too as well. I know some of you have had to change your ideas because you've, like, maybe you were filming outside and obviously you can't get there now, so you might have to film indoors, and you might want to change your location recce sheet or do a second one. That's absolutely fine.
Miss?
Yeah.
For my location one,
Yep.
I sent it over, but I took some photos the other day and I've done it in different locations, so I just need to update it.
That's fine. And I think for some of you, that's going to be the case. And I think if you've got a location recce of where you thought you was going to film in the first place, and then you've got another location recce of where you ended up filming, that's going to look really fine. Like, it's going to be fine in your folder because it's showing that you've had to sort of adapt. And I think in this time period at the moment, adapting is like, it's going to be a good thing for some of you, just to sort of show how you've moved on. So that's honestly not a problem. I think some of you might need to do that. Like yesterday, someone was emailing me from the other class and they've had to change their idea completely. And they were like, oh, I'm going to have to film in the garden, but I'll try and make it look really good. And I was like, that's absolutely fine, but just do a location recce sheet for it. The location recce sheets can take all of like 5 or 10 minutes. So do it. So all of those documents were on Google Classroom, and most of them had templates and examples as well. So if it's on your to-do list, get it done, send it over to me. What do you do about filming? So again, a bit tricky. We've just sort of touched on this really. but it can still be done. So if you're still really keen to do a music video, I think you should still go ahead and try and film something at home. So your idea might change, you might need to tweak it slightly, that's fine. If you are filming and editing at home, or attempting to, I mean, I think even attempting to is a good thing. Print screen it. Like if you're doing it on your phone, print screen it. If you're editing on a tablet or your laptop, however you're attempting to do it, if you can print screen as you go along and maybe put those images into a document just so I can see it, the examiner can see it, that you were trying to do this stuff while you're off, that's fine. It might be necessary, as I can't always see or help you to edit a video or a magazine or an album cover. So if you're doing an album cover or a magazine and you're doing stuff on Photopea, or I've advised maybe some of you to go on Publisher, again, print screen, maybe like every day or so, or every couple of days, print screen what you were doing and just sort of show the progression of how it's been developing. You can edit on your phone. I mean, I've not heard that you can't at the moment, and the feedback and the guidance from Pearson's been a little bit naff, if I'm being completely honest. I haven't heard you can't edit on your phone, and while you're off, and most of you have got maybe something on your phone or a tablet at home that allows you to do some kind of editing, then just go for it. And this is what I mean by print screening it. At least if you show me like your progression of editing, then you can send it my way. At least it will show that you were doing stuff. What I don't want is all of a sudden this video to land on my desk when we get back to school and it looks like some Hollywood editors had a go at it. It's got to look like it's your piece of work. So showing that kind of print screening, developing of ideas, or developing of the editing process is going to be much better for you guys. Filming can still be done, even if you have got no editing software. You've tried DaVinci Resolve on the website and it's not working for you. You haven't got editing software on a phone or a laptop or whatever. You can still try and film. Most of you could film stuff on your phone, at least have that stuff ready. We could upload that and put that into our folder just to show that you were attempting to get the product done if you are doing a music video. I've had a few students from both classes already say that they're going to scrap the music video and do an album cover or a magazine cover instead, and that's fine. But with regards to if you are doing the album cover or magazine, Photopea and Publisher are really easy to get hold of. So if you've got internet access and a computer or even a phone, which I'm assuming most of you have because you're joining my session now, Photopea is easy and free as long as you have the internet and a PC or laptop. It really is a matter of playing around with it. There are excellent opportunities to create different text, different types of fonts, different styles of like playing around with shadows or 3D or like a gradient of colour. You can really play around with it. That could be quite nice for magazines and album covers. If you might want to play around with the images and the text on Photopea, but then transfer it all over to Publisher to create the final product, or you can do it all on Photopea. It doesn't really matter. But if you've chosen to do an album cover or magazine, there's absolutely no reason why you can't get that done at home. Or if you can't, you need to let me know. Something else in the marking criteria is about feedback. So believe it or not, you could do with just showing your album cover or a magazine or video to people to get feedback. So that could be parents, it could be brothers or sisters, it can be you could send your work over to friends, but you do need to ideally try and get some feedback. So it might be that you just want to know, does it look all right? Or do you want some constructive feedback? Do you want them to tell you like if anything needs changing or what they've liked and what they disliked about it, strengths and weaknesses, pros and cons, however you want to look at it. You could just type up, you could either get them to email back responses and copy and paste their responses in a Word document. You could set up a free SurveyMonkey questionnaire, send that out and get them to fill it in. So like I say, it's part of the marking criteria that talks about using feedback, so it's good to have it if you need it. Again, definitely for distinction, probably as well for merit, but actually I think even if you're aiming for a pass, I think you should try and get some feedback if it's in.
I'm going to go back down to merit.
What? Why? No, you're not talking to me. Okay, so the evaluation is the next big piece of work. I was going to start that this week, but I'm just really conscious. I wanted to talk to you guys and just touch base and see where you're at with your learner name A and B. I think it's a good idea to go through your show my homework and just have a little look at what's outstanding. Some of you are finding show my homework overwhelming, and I completely agree because I do as well. If you want me to just send you what I've got outstanding on my show my homework, then just send me an email and I will reply. But try and get everything outstanding for learner name A and B done, and try and get something done for a final product. So even if it's just some filming, or even if you've got some footage and you've tried to edit, even if it's that you've played around with Photopea or Publisher to get an album cover or a magazine front cover, just sort of you've had a little go at it, even if it's not necessarily the final product. I have to write up an observation sheet for BTEC as well, to sort of say what I've seen you do, where I think your work's been going, so I can sort of back up what kind of grade I think you're on as well. So yeah, I'll start the evaluation stuff more so next week, even though it was on Google Classroom for some of you to have a little look at. Some of you may even already started it, but that's not a problem. So really, that's where I'm at. So have you got any questions? How are you feeling about it all, or are you just okay to crack on? Maybe because the exams are over, not over, but because the summer exams are not on, you are feeling like you've got more time to get stuff like this done now. Are we feeling all right?
Miss, I've got one.
Yeah.
Because the other day I went to get my photos done for the album cover.
Yep.
And I obviously couldn't like get everyone that I wanted to be in it because of like lockdown and all that. So I've got a couple photos, and then I was seeing is there a way to like sort of crop and edit people in, like from the other photos I've taken?
What, to make it look like they're all in one picture together?
Yeah.
Yeah, there would be actually. Let me have a little look on Sue's tutorials, because I'm sure you can cut them out and stick them all on one picture. But even if that doesn't work out for you, because it gets too tricky and it doesn't look like they're in a picture together, it looks too sort of cut and paste. What you could do is keep hold of the image that you attempted, and then you could, because I remember from like the 90s when girl bands had like a little block of their own. I think Spice Girls did it quite a lot. They weren't in a picture together, they sort of had like their own little rectangular piece, and it was put together. You could do that as like a backup. So we could sort of see, well, you had the idea, you were trying to do it, didn't quite work out, we've gone for this one instead. I'll email you some pictures of what I mean, because I've got something in my head, but I think you could do that as like a plan B, let's say. But let me message you, because I think that sounds like a good idea.
Right, because I was thinking I also need to change like the name, because in the thing it's got a six in it. I don't have enough photos.
Oh yeah, good point.
So I might just change the name a bit.
Okay, that's up to you. If it's too much work to change everything you've got just because of the 6, then don't worry. It could just be that is the band name. Doesn't really matter, that it reflects the amount of people in the band. But you could put that in your evaluation anyway.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
That's all right. So image and videos. How's everyone else doing? Anyone got any questions? Anything that's like annoying them? Anything you're not sure about?
Miss?
Yes.
I haven't actually got like any pictures at the moment, because I was meant to do it on one day, but then we all went into like isolation again.
Yeah.
So I haven't got anything at the moment.
Is this for you're doing magazine, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Have you got anyone at home who would be like maybe happy to pose for you?
I might do. I might be able to get someone to.
Because I just think if you had an idea of like using a friend and you were going to get them to, you were going to take photos of them at school, like in your evaluation, that's what you're going to say. This was my original idea. But if we don't get back in school in time, then I think having some backup pictures might just be better than having nothing. So even if it was that you got your parents to take pictures of you where you are the model, I know you probably don't want to be, but just for the sake of getting something done, you could pretend that you are the model and you sort of do the poses you had in mind, and you play around with different costumes and whatnot. So you could use those images to play around with on Photopea or Publisher, and then if we got into school and we still had time, you could just swap the images over if you get time to do the original pictures that you had planned. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay, no worries.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's all right. Anyone else? Is anyone doing, like Jack, I know you're pretty much done. Millie, you're all right. Morgan, Sydney, you was doing a magazine front cover as well, weren't you? And Evie?
Yeah, mine's the same as Morgan with the photos with
Okay,
other people.
so same feedback for you then. Just
Yeah.
have that plan B. If we get time, we can swap them over.
Okay.
Yeah. Ava, weren't you doing a magazine?
Yeah,
How are you getting on?
I'm basically at the same steps as them. Like,
Okay.
I'm probably just gonna take pictures of like myself.
Yeah. I know for some of you it's a bit cringe, like, oh, I really don't want to, but I think just in terms of getting something, having something that you can play around with at home and you can sort of show this is what I had to practice with, doesn't mean it's going to be the final product, but it is just better to have something rather than nothing, I reckon.
Yeah.
So, and I think I think you've chosen well considering lockdown. By choosing the magazine front cover, it is something that you can do at home. It's just that Photopea can be a real pain in the bum. It's just playing around with it. And while we've got the time at home, you might have the opportunity to sit on a laptop and have a little, I don't know, just go on that website and really just maneuver with it. I'll reiterate the Sue's videos for you guys, but I know from just playing around with it, it is just a matter of trial and error. But it's not a bad task. You can definitely get it done. Come on, people, you can do it. And then Edward is the only other one who your video is pretty much done, isn't it? So
yeah, I've completed it. So
perfect. So if you're at a point, I think Jack and Edward, you're probably at a point where you just need to make sure that everything else is fine. If you can maybe get your feedback side of things done, so ask people to watch my video or look at my album cover, what do you think, and just make a note of any feedback. It might be they go, oh, yeah, it's great, and they haven't got anything to change, that's fine. It might be that someone says, oh, I would have done blah 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 blah, but you can use that feedback in your evaluation to say, oh, if I'd had time, if we were doing this a little bit longer, this is what I'd have changed. Perfect.
all right.
But we'll do the evaluation next week. Cool. Right, I'm conscious that I've like waffled on for like a good half an hour. Thank you guys for attending. I don't know what's happened to the others, but I hope they're enjoying their laying. We didn't enjoy our laying, did we? Crack on. I don't know if I'll set another Zoom tomorrow. Maybe just do one just so I can tick you off, just to sort of know that you're working on your media for period 5. But if you've got questions or anything like that, then just message me. I am checking my emails pretty much all the time now because technically we're back at school. So if you've got any problems, any questions, you want to change something, you're not sure about this, that, and the other, just let me know. Okay? But I'm going to go. So see you later.